Hi there, Hawks. It's Mr. Strickland, and this is my read aloud of Marvin of the Great North Woods, Part 1. Here's a little pic of it. And this is written by Catherine Lasky. Right. This is also an AR book, so you'll have an opportunity to take a test on this when you're done. After his great aunt Sadie died of the influenza, Marvin's mother and father decided to send him away from the city to keep him safe. Marvin heard them talk it over with Uncle Moishi and Aunt Geisha one night as he sat hidden on the stairs. How will he get along in a logging camp, a boy of 10, all by himself? Asked Aunt Geisha. I want him to live, to be a man, said Mama quietly. He must go. But Marvin's very small for his age, said Uncle Moishi. He won't even be able to lift a saw. Marvin glowered and huddled closer to the wall. He's got a head for numbers. He'll keep the books, said Papa. Marvin knew that he was good at math in school, but in a logging camp? I've already talked to my friend Mr. Murray at the camp up north, Papa continued. Marvin should go right away. The next day, Marvin's mother cut down an old overcoat of Papa's and lined it with scraps of beaver fur. From the scraps, she lined Marvin's cap and made ear flaps. Marvin turned to his mother. Mama, I don't know how to speak French. You said most of the men who work there are French-Canadian, except for Mr. Murray. You just say bonjour. Bonjour? Marvin repeated. It means hello, Mama said. You'll learn the rest, like your father and I did when we came from Russia. Your mother's right, said Papa. Look, we are living proof. When we came here, not a word of English, just Russian and Yiddish. Now look at us. We talk English to our children. I talk English to my boss. We sing in English. We make jokes in English. Marvin hoped his father wouldn't tell the chicken joke. It was a dumb joke. Two days later, the morning Marvin was to leave, Mama made latkes and knishes. While they were piping hot, she wrapped them in newspaper and put 2 in each of his coat pockets and 1 inside his cap to keep him warm. Don't eat them until they're almost cold, she told him. Then they'll warm you twice. At the train station, Papa handed Marvin the skis he had made for his son's 6th birthday. Papa, I've never skied in the country before, Marvin said anxiously. You've skied in the city, up and down every hill in Duluth, and there are many. How far do I have to ski? 5 miles, remember. It's all flat. You'll go like a shot. The train pulled out of the station, and the glass grew foggy with Marvin's breath as he said soft goodbyes through the window. Would his family be all right until he came home in the spring? He wished he could take his sisters to the logging camp to keep them safe from the influenza, too. He saw them all on the platform, Mama, Papa, his 2 big sisters, his 2 little sisters, bundled in their coats, waving. As the train moved away, the little sisters blurred into the big ones. The big sisters blended into Mama and Papa. They were all one bundle, waving goodbye to him. Marvin, alone on the train, going far, far away to the great North Woods. Marvin ate his first latke when the train stopped in Flatwood. It was almost cold. An hour passed, and Marvin ate another latke, then another. Outside, the land stretched white until it reached the trees. The dark band of the forest rested on the horizon as the train sped through the white world of the north. Almost 5 hours later, in Bemidji, Minnesota, Marvin stood alone on the platform as the train rolled away. Beyond the depot, a road ran straight and flat to where the white landscape met the forest. Marvin felt small, very small, and the road looked like it went on forever. He thought of the big waving bundle on the train platform back in Duluth. What were they doing now? His sisters, his mother, his father. It was too cold to stand still, so Marvin ate the knish in his cap, slapped his cap back on his head, strapped on his skis, and started for the shadowy thread on the horizon. His father had told him that 5 miles down the road, Mr. Murray, a big man with a handsome waxed mustache, would be waiting for him. The way was flat and the snow was well packed. Marvin thought that if he kept up a good pace, he would reach the camp just after sunset. The thin thread of the forest thickened to a dark ribbon. Soon he could smell the sharp green fragrance of freshly cut timber, and soon after that he spotted a speck in the distance. The speck grew into a smudge. Before long, the smudge wore a muffler and a fur hat. Between the top of the muffler and the bottom of the hat, a huge mustache bristled with frost. "Come along, boy." Mr. Murray turned his snowshoes towards the camp at the edge of the forest. "I'm like to freeze my derriere off here." That's French for bottom. So Marvin thought, now I know two words in French. I can say hello, bottom. As they entered the camp, the last shadows Marvin had ever seen stretched across the snow, and he realized with a start that the shadows were the lumberjacks walking in the moonlight. He could smell hay and manure and saw the silhouettes of horses stomping in a snowy corral. From a nearby log building, he heard the lively squeaks of a fiddle. It seemed for a moment as if the horses were keeping time to the music. Mr. Murray must have thought the same. "You want to watch the horses dance or the jacks?" He laughed. "Come along, we'll take a look." Here. When they entered the building, the long shadows from the yard suddenly sprung to life. Marvin stared. Immense men with long beards and wild hair were jumping around to the fiddlers' tunes like a pack of frantic grizzly bears. They were the biggest and wildest men Marvin had ever seen. Marvin could have watched the dancing all night, but Mr. Murray said, "Come on, Marvin, we start early in the morning. I'll show you where you'll be living." Okay, so that is going to be part one of the read, and it's going to be two other parts. So I hope you tune in for the rest of them. See you tomorrow.